Welcome to Sales and Messaging. My colleague Nancy Zaire, also known as the Sales Whisperer, is here with me as always. Hirsch Repun, I am your personal brand builder. That's my moniker for the moment. But I say moniker for the moment because we're talking today about monikers, pros and cons. You know, when you're dealing with a personal brand, you want to be known for something. You want to really get people's attention, but can it be too much? Can it be too little? And we're gonna kind of bat that around. We're gonna bat that about banter in our banter, but seriously. And we'll have a good time talking about it because it is one of my favorite things, nomenclature. But I think that it's something that has to be seriously considered. So, welcome, Nancy. What would you say to that?
I would say that the most important advantage of a moniker is that it differentiates you from other people, especially if you create a unique name for yourself. So, for example, I've never come across someone else who claims to be the sales whisperer. There are other people who wear hats. I've found a lot of men. I think it may be a hair issue. They're hair challenged. Maybe women too, but I'm not hair challenged. I'm happy with my hair. However, it's a brand as opposed to a moniker. And there is a difference between the brand and a moniker. The moniker is the sales whisper. Another moniker that I have, Hirsch, is the likability sales system. And by having a unique name for what it is you are or do, it, of course, catches attention and it differentiates, as I said, it makes you stand out from other people who may do similar or maybe even the same thing. Your thoughts?
Yeah, very true. And what comes to mind when you mention the likability method and the sales whisperer is they're very simple to say and repeat. A lot of times we have ideas that may get people's attention, but are hard to share with other people or to even say. I used for a while the message therapist. The message therapist was very clever. Everybody loved it. People loved it, but they were forever looking at it and seeing massage therapist. And there was really no way. There are ways to combat it. I used to have underneath it, yes, you read that right, or whatever it might be. But the fact is, as apt even as message therapist was, because I do work very closely and deeply with my clients. It's very personal, but at the same time, the confusion that it sometimes aroused was not worth it. And it really isn't worth it to confuse. So clarity, simplicity, those are right up there on the list, along with repeatability and the application of those monikers. Let's say, how apt is it to what you do?
Of course,
I think that's important.
It has to have a connection. They have to say something that's true and real about you. A cute name all by itself is ridiculous because it will throw people off and they won't really get the message. I've missed the message therapist or the therapist part because it is true, Hirsch. You work in a way that is therapeutic. You ask questions and you tease out and you bring forward stories from your clients' lives that are amazing. And then you weave them together to, again, create the message that distinguishes them and makes them stand out in a crowd of noise.
Yeah. Were you going to say we're going to add to that?
I'm going to add something on a different subjects, but I'm going to wait for you to comment on this. All right.
Oh, well, yeah. And I do. And I'm glad we're talking about it because it was something that was tested. It was tested. It was used. I went all in on it. I don't think you can really test something. Like I could have said, oh, I'm going to have a video or a series or a thing, an offer that's going to use it. I really committed to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I branded all my videos. I did a whole bunch of things. But I think what ultimately happened was there were I'm still getting feedback that I am like a therapist. So I am still getting that feedback. And I think that's fair and it's good. There are also people who don't who don't relate to the idea of therapy in their brand building. And in many cases, it's not that their brand needs therapy. It's really that it needs
Mhm.
clarity. I
Mhm.
think clarity is the most important thing.
Mhm.
But this Nancy leads me to another quick point, which is we live in a world where your shingle, this thing you put, there's your shingle, like we said, there's your brand name, there's your logo, there's a moniker, possibly, there's a descriptor. But we live in an age where there are a lot of opportunities to emphasize different parts of what you do, different parts of your personality, different services that you offer. So you don't have to be limited to that one tagline or that, what, I often use love the brand you see in the mirror. I think that's great, but I don't think that's the only tagline that applies to what I do. Know yourself before you brand yourself is another one that I think is really apt. Again, I use it where I feel it's best used.
Yeah.
And so that's
So
that.
I'm going to hop in and share because when you talked about, again, the confusion around massage versus message, it prompted me to reveal the name of my business is Rapport Builders. Now, the final letter on the word builders is a Z for Zaire. And the reason I chose that is when I went to get a domain name, Rapport Builders with an S was taken. Well, I got clever and cute. I put the Z and sure enough, that was available. But rapport is what I'm all about. The word builders, many people know building rapport is a part of the sales process. In fact, it's fundamental. It's the first step. If you don't have rapport, without rapport, you're going nowhere. But what would happen, Hirsch, is that I would walk into in-person networking events at that time, and it said rapport builders, and people came up to me and said, "Oh, are you in the construction industry?" And I would have to then answer them, yeah, I help people construct relationships that lead to sales. But so I was cute or clever in responding. But the confusion, as you said, having clarity is fundamental to your brand, to your moniker, to what it is you do. Clarity cannot be emphasized enough. And as a person with a psychology background, I can tell you that clarity is just absolutely ground floor fundamental.
Yeah, I'm glad you emphasized it so strongly because, look, we learn this stuff over time. This is another point. It's possible that a very young person, very early in their career, may hit upon something that's so completely exceptional that they do that the moniker really will resonate. But in all likelihood, as your career evolves and as you accumulate skills and knowledge, techniques, and a reputation, that moniker may start to emerge. And it may even be bestowed on you by other people. And that speaks to the thought leadership concept, which I have long believed. I believe in thought leadership. I just believe that it's not something we bestow on ourselves or claim. It's something someone will say, "Oh, they're a thought leader in this area." That's an I think an observation somebody makes about you. It's not
Mhm.
a job title that you give yourself
Yeah.
any more
And that,
than viral video is something that you can actually create by yourself, a viral video.
right. And that's exactly how I got the name, the moniker, the Sales Whisperer. It started with Jojo Laricia. So, Jojo, if you're watching, thank you so much. Jojo said, "You're the LinkedIn Whisperer." And she gave me that name because, as you know, Hirsch, I read LinkedIn profiles. It's a skill that I teach, or I will do for you. And by reading someone's profile, I identify the personality style, or what I term now the buying style. And then I can give you recommendations for how to approach and work with that person to go on to, I hope, enroll a new client. Well, other clients, as I was using that moniker, the LinkedIn Whisperer, said, "Oh, no, 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 no. You're much greater and bigger than LinkedIn. Now, you may play extensively on LinkedIn, but I will also go to Facebook. I will go to Instagram and to websites and apply the same skill of reading people's personality styles." And hence, and I'm thinking now of Crystal Hilly, said it's the Sales Whisperer. So that's how my moniker came to pass. Hey, Tom, thank you. I'm going to show his message so that we can, again, applaud you for being here. Obviously, you like that thought leader.
Oh, thanks, Tom. Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that because yeah, and he mentions the story brand
And
philosophy.
being a guide as opposed to maybe that thought leader. So interesting. Do you want to play with that for a moment, Hirsch, the notion of thought leader versus guide?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a very clear distinction because a thought leader is really changing the way people think about a certain area of interest or a certain profession, whereas a guide actually is more of a mentor. A guide will help you through what you're trying to accomplish. A guide has already been there. It definitely implies that. A guide has already been somewhere. A thought leader may be going on the journey. They're just the first to look at it that way or to take that journey, but they're not necessarily guiding others through it yet.
Yeah. So they're not antithetical. One can be both a thought leader and a guide. And I think, as Tom's pointing out, perhaps that's actually a great combination in terms of attracting people's attention. So good stuff. So at any rate, back to monikers. What are some disadvantages? Because there are some to get named something. And of course, let's leave aside now the clarity issue, because I think we addressed that to some extent, that if you're using a name that doesn't really describe what you do accurately, it's not going to serve you in the long run. So what are some of the other disadvantages?
Well, some of the other disadvantages would be that it's clear in terms of what it communicates about what you do, but is it perhaps too cute or so cute that you're not really taken seriously as an expert in your field? Is it distracting to the point where it becomes about the moniker? Are you proclaiming something that also is difficult to legitimize or prove? Are you making a statement that is too grand for what you're really offering? So there are pitfalls in giving yourself a moniker that, similarly to a logo, are you conveying anything that is antithetical to what you believe? Is that a possibility? Which it might be. You know, you might be actually sending a message that is lighter or darker than your actual brand. You know, like if I was just going to say, if instead of Yes Brand Builders, I called it Yes Brand Killers, that might be number one, very edgy. Do I want to be that edgy? You know, am I? Number two, putting brand and killers together may not be so good if I'm really trying to create good brands. So there are a lot of things, but the memorable notion. If I if I called myself, let's say, I'm trying to think of something that would be on target, but would be perhaps too cute. Can you think of anything that might err on the side of cutesiness or lack of seriousness?
Well, it's very characteristic of the number 8 buying personality style that they like to be clever and cute. And I have seen many a name of their business or the name of or in the background on their banner, they will have a cute expression. Nothing comes to mind immediately, but I can recall my own previous businesses. One of them I called Envision. So I used my name, Nancy, and it was N-Vision. And it was for business consulting, Envision something, right? Cute. Did it really stick? No. And then there was the other one, again, I'm being cute, and ovations. So instead of innovations, again, I used my N and ovations. Well, ovations had nothing to do with what I was offering, right? But it was cute. It was clever. So there you go.
Well, I had some names. That I remember when I started my PR firm, Raging Artists, which I still love, which was very see, that had a little edge. And it was very apt because all of our clients were artists. They were commercial filmmakers, editors, composers, visual effects artists. So it made perfect sense. I think that was a really solid one. I wanted to mention before we go, because we're getting close to the end of this episode, I wanted to mention that you shouldn't forget your feedback loop. Your feedback loop is super important. In other words, we get very excited. We have come up with a moniker. We say we're going to do it. We go to the printers. We maybe ask one person. Maybe we even ask one person we know will love it. We ask, and that's it. And we go, and off we go. It's great to have a feedback loop of colleagues, professionals, peers, whoever may be able to give you really honest feedback, and say, look, that is not going to, or see something that you can't see. We talk about perspective a lot, and they'll say, you know what? Do you realize it's this? And you're like, oh, wow.
So I want to pipe in here because this is again, the negative, the con of a moniker, and that is the legal implications. Do you know whether or not that moniker might be trademarked or might belong to someone else? And again, like you say, off we march. I'm guilty. I am quick to make a decision and march to the printers with that new title, that new name, that new, and the business cards, the brochures, they all get printed, right? And by the way, this actually happened to me. One of my books is trademarked by a sales training company, and it is the trademark for their course. And so I was politely informed of this information after the book was published.
Yeah. Well, and by the way, I've done it too, rushed off. Here's the thing. A lot of the stuff we share is things that we've learned, not that we're so smart that we would never make the mistake. A lot of the things are mistakes that we or friends of ours have made, and we've learned from it. And so, by the way, if you have any moniker mistakes, just put a message in the chat or in the comments whenever you see this video.
Big M for mistake, or moniker.
Put a hashtag mistake. And because mistake is intriguing enough, moniker mistake is overkill. But yeah, share it, share stuff you've learned. We're on here to share knowledge, and so the more the better.
All right. Well, we are going to sign off. I hope you enjoyed our new time and our new hour, but same good material, right, Hirsch? So
yeah.
Dr. Nancy Zaire to all of our sales success, the Sales Whisperer, and
Hirsch Rapun, your personal brand builder, wishing you a wonderful weekend.